to my familia homeschool. My name is Marissa and this is my husband William. I have 3 daughters and we live in Miami, Florida. We are a family that has chosen homeschool as the way that we will educate our children. A couple weeks ago, I asked over on Instagram for some questions that you would like to ask a homeschool dad. So today we have brought in our homeschool dad and we're going to ask him all of the juicy questions. He's not seen any of these questions before. These are his unplanned answers. So let's see what he says. When we first started talking about homeschool, what was your first thought, your first perspective, your first opinions about homeschool?
Me, I'm from Colombia, South America, so usually I haven't even heard about homeschool. So the first time that I heard like homeschool from a different set of friends, it was like interesting because it's like, how is that? It's like you just stay at home all day long and just like in that place your entire time, and your mother or your father are your teachers the whole day. So that was like the first approach that I started. But I started to relate to them. I started to listening to seeing how they act or interact with people, and I started to learn a little bit more from homeschool. So that gives me more like the idea of wanting to know more about it and being interested into know what it really means, because I think the perspective of the idea that usually people have, especially in Latin America or even in the States, is like people that homeschoolers are weird and they're like just set apart there and they don't want to relate to anybody.
So I remember a story that you told me back when we were going to college together about an encounter you had with a homeschool family that really marked you.
Yeah, I remember that. It's like I went to Thanksgiving with a friend that she invited a couple of us to go to her house, to her family's house, because they were gonna have like Thanksgiving dinner for the whole 3-4 days there. And we were going to college, so she told us like, if you don't have a place to be, just come with me, all of you guys. You are well invited and welcome there. I remember going there, and there were like people from kids from 2 years old, or even babies, and like even the grandma was like 85, 89 years old. And the interesting part that I noticed in these families, like how well connected all of them. Usually I remember seeing in family meetings is like usually you see the younger ones there, the kids over there, the grandpas here, the different ages separated. But in this they were blending and having different interactions. Is like, this is very interesting, and all of them, they were able to relate to everyone. And this was the family that I remember. They were homeschoolers, and that was the first glimpse that I had about it. Is like, oh, this is really interesting, because it is not that they are like close to just one group of people, but they're able to relate from people for different ages around them.
So you said your first perspective ideas about homeschoolers were that they were weird, that they were awkward, that they were shut in their house 8 hours a day or 24 hours a day, that they didn't have much interaction with the outside world. Now that we've been homeschooling for a couple years, how has your perspective changed?
Now that I have seen you doing it, because usually I'm from the stands looking at how it is done, I can see that it is not as I thought at the beginning, that it was just like kids just 8 hours at home just doing all this work, all these I don't know, in Colombia we call it like when you have to write over and over again some letters until you just memorize them, or the same thing with numbers, and you stop in a classroom for hours. But in here, seeing the flexibility to choose topics that the kids enjoy, or finding different communities where people are having the like-minded and having the same desire to see their kids flourishing in the areas where they have been gifted to.
In those beginning days when we were starting to talk about homeschooling, where it was kind of a topic of conversation, what were your worries walking into homeschooling?
I think that's the worry that many people have about it, is like how my kids are gonna socialize. That's the thing that I had, is like, okay, I understand that you can teach them. I know that you will be able to do it. I know you will research and teach them. And my question was like, how are they gonna have those interactions with other kids? Because I know they need that interaction in order just to live a life of people like in the same age, in order for them to relate to. So at the beginning I was just like, how is gonna be happening this? And one of my strong points is like, we need them to place them with kids of the same age, also for them to develop themselves at this age level where they are at. So that was my first concern about how they socialize with other kids.
And now, as we've been homeschooling for a couple of years, have your worries been resolved?
Oh yeah, I can see now that it is not like the kids are just here at home, just like putting in a barn, just learning there, like counting eggs that usually people think that homeschoolers are doing, but they're like out there connecting with people. Something that I can say, one of the groups that my kids attend to, one of them, she's or her parents were from Haiti, so something is like, why don't you ask her to teach our kids French so you can teach them Spanish, in order for them to have like more approach to a different culture, to a different language. And that's something that probably wouldn't have been done in a regular school setting, because you have to prepare that. And having that interaction is really, really interesting to see how they're willing to help each other, how they're willing to encourage each other, because they know that this is a path that not many people take, because it's not an easy path either. It's something that they are going to be challenged, so they need to go press through and having that connection with those communities around them.
Now, what benefits have you seen in our girls as we have been homeschooling?
The benefit that I can see is the way they can relate to people from different places. Also, the way for them to interact with the knowledge that they want. Something that I know my wife has been really good with them is to make them or love reading. So that's something that I can see with them. Start reading or start like getting their own liking, doing stuff around the home. Things that they don't have to be prepared for them, but they know, okay, they have the independence to choose different things and enjoy while they are in there. They are not like boxed in some hours to learn something that they're gonna forget in a couple of days.
So now, from your perspective, like on the other side, we've started homeschooling, we've been doing it for a couple of years. What would you tell a dad that maybe his wife has come to him and said, I'm interested in homeschooling, I'm feeling a tug at my heart, and this dad is having similar worries that you had in the beginning? What would you tell him?
They need to come to an agreement. It is hard to take this path of this route of doing homeschooling, and one is thinking one way and the other one is thinking completely different, because they're gonna have those different situations when things are not going good, and they're gonna fight for that reason. Because at the beginning there was a time when I have that situation when I was like, what about this? And because I wasn't fully invested in the homeschooling, because I wanted something to happen, and that could be damaging on the process of doing it. But then it's like, trust in, if your wife wants to do it and she knows that she can research, even if they can try, because it's sometimes even we don't know until we just step into something and start doing it, because it is not easy, as I mentioned before. I've seen my wife researching, reading, trying different things, but that's also something good, because it's not that they have to finish every little thing that they have begun in these different curriculums, but it's like, okay, I think this is better on this route, or this is better doing in this way. So one way also that we can do as that is supporting her in different activities, because it takes a lot of time of the researching part. Just thinking on that, if they are researching something, they need to invest their time in order just to put it into practice. So as that, we are not going to be the extra child that they need to take care of. We are not the person that they need to do all things for us, but we are there to help. Something that we do here at home is like from Monday through Friday and Sundays, I do breakfast. Also something that I do during the week that is at the end of the day, especially because we had a newborn baby. Now, while my wife is feeding her because she needs full attention, I have my daughters and I get into bed, we pray together, we read together. That's something else that we can do, is like, how can I help to make things easier for her?
Another question that we received from the perspective of a dad that maybe they're just starting to homeschool and his wife's just getting started, and he wants to know, how can I be a homeschool dad if I work 8 hours outside of the home? He wants to be involved, but he doesn't know, how can I get involved if I'm not here during the time they're homeschooling?
That's even linked with what I just mentioned before, but also that's something that we can see is like how we can get involved doing things that we like and we like to pass on to our kids. Let's say we like doing puzzles, or we like building blogs, or we like running, or we like swimming, we like going in field trips, or we like doing sports. So we can bring that into the table and including our kids on that in order for us to enjoy. I know something that I mentioned is like we are doing magnet tiles, and we get like a beautiful set for my daughter with some tunnels, and you put a ball and just go all around. And I got passionate because I want to build this, because I want that ball to go from here to here. So I just get to like, don't touch it. But I see my daughters coming there and helping and trying to enjoy something that we can enjoy together. Also doing puzzles, or when they are like, they want to sing along. Something that we do also is just like put up music and just sing or dance together. So it's something that you can do as a father that you really like. I say I can pass this on to my kids. It was a quote from a psychologist of kids. He mentioned something like, our kids are very interested or very involved, or they desire to have a real connection with us as adults. They are not trying to fake it. They're not trying to be nice, but they really want to establish that connection. So that's why they come to us when we are doing, like I have a bicycle, and sometimes I'm fixing it. So my little one of 3 years old, she comes here and she tries to like do tools or do something there because she wants to get involved in that. And it's like, how can I invite her to do or learn something in that process? If we are able to notice, everything will become a learning process. Something that I mentioned, my wife, and she stayed here with my baby, and I went to the violin class with these two, and we were walking there, and I saw a worm, and I picked it up, and I just like to showing them. I was like, oh, this is a worm. This is the way it moves. It's like this is where they live. At the beginning, we're like, a worm. It's like it is harmless, and things that probably my wife wouldn't have done. But it's like, how can I take this time and make it a learning memory for them in that moment? It's something that I already know.
So kind of linked with that idea, what you're talking about there, is there something that you teach within our homeschool?
I listen to my wife teaching them something, and if I see how can I add into that, because if I see like they're not getting it, it's like, okay, let me go and I get Legos, or I get something else and try to explain them, or use your hands, or think about this in order to input something into what is in that. So it's just like being present there in order just to get involved in that. Or if you have a hobby, that's because we are probably more physical, we like to do more workouts, or we like to be more outdoors, is how can I get involved this into my kids in order for them to have a different approach in that area and just learning from each other.
So those are all the questions that we have for our homeschool dad. If you have any questions that you would like to ask a homeschool dad, feel free to leave a comment down below, or find me on Instagram under My Familia Homeschool. Send me a message and let me know. I think it would be really fun to do another video in the future. So if you have any other questions, make sure to send them our way. I hope this video was helpful for you, for your family, for your homeschool journey. If that's the case, give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you can join us next time with My Familia Homeschool.